Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's pre-meet interview. I am here with head men's and women's track coach Anthony Drealan. Coach and his track squad will be split up this weekend as the multi-athletes will head to NDSU and the rest of the athletes will be heading down to Vermilion this weekend to compete. So, Coach, welcome back for this week's. First question I got for you is tell us a little bit more about the athletes in the relays that have qualified already for the national meet and who we should be looking out for to hit that mark this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 7 individuals qualified for nationals, plus a relay. So it's been going pretty well so far. Sinquavius Johnson in the 60-meter dash has qualified. He's a returning All-American, so he's going to have a good shot at nationals to well. A freshman of ours, Cody Farland, is qualified in the 800, and he's a member of the 4x800 relay that qualified as well. And 3 other guys, Josh Krull and Roger Tehidor and Evan Slominski were all on that relay as well. So they were able to hit the standard last week in that relay. Then we got Kevin Jenkins in the 60-meter hurdles, and he has been a national qualifier to the outdoor championships before, and this is the first time he's qualified in the 60-meter hurdles. So that's been awesome to see. And then we got 2 high jumpers qualified as well. Lena Matuka is a junior here and qualifying for her first national championships. And then freshman Joe Lynch qualified as well last weekend. And he knew that he could hit that mark, coming in from high school. So it was great to see him kind of break through and be able to get that. And then we got a couple throwers that have qualified as well. 2 athletes that have qualified for nationals before, whether indoor or outdoor. Treya Hubbard is currently 8th in the country in the shot put. Returning multiple-time All-American, so she's going to have a great shot to do well. And then finally, Connor Tordson has qualified in the weight throw, and that's his first indoor qualifying, but he has qualified for outdoors before too. So a pretty good contingent so far, but we got several athletes that are close, and so we got quite a few, but a few to kind of make note of. We got 3 athletes in the 400: Kesley Eager, Brenner Furlong, and Joshua Snook, who have all been pretty close, and those 2 men have qualified previously. So they're going to be taking a run at it. Our men's 4x4 in general, we have the ability, I think, to qualify on the right day. And with the relays, it's a matter of, okay, getting everybody to perform on the same day. The 4x4 is always at the end of the meet, so we're resting some guys for as opposed to running their regular events to try to run it more fresh. And they were All-Americans outdoors. 3 of the 4 legs are back, so they'll have a good chance as well. And then speaking of the multi-athletes heading to NDSU, Trayshawn Roberts should have a really, really good chance of qualifying for nationals as well in the heptathlon. He was a national qualifier 2 years ago to the National Indoor Track and Field Championship. So, and we got some more, that have the potential in the long run as well, but as we're getting into these last regular season meets, it's time to go after it and try to get her.
Yep. Well, it sounds like you guys already have a wide variety of athletes qualified, and it sounds like there's plenty more that have good shots. So, with talking about that, the National Indoor Meet in Brookings is just about a month away. What are you telling your athletes to make that final push, and what items are in your list to do for that national tournament?
Yeah, so in terms of the athletes and what we're doing, we come down to these last 2 regular season meets that we're going to. That is where, the focus, the athletes can really look internally and say, all right, I want to accomplish these things for myself before we get to the conference championships and try to qualify, set personal best. And not that we won't have athletes that are able to do that at conference, but the focus really switches when we get to conference in that it's about, all right, we're trying to win this conference championship. We have athletes, doubling, tripling, quadrupling in events. And so there's definitely more of that team aspect to it. And there's going to be some fatigue heading into later events. And so, everything that you want to accomplish as an individual, you really got to try to focus on these next 2 meets and get her done. And then we have a team-oriented focus, obviously, for the conference championship. So it's been, a great run so far. But, we are, as you said, getting down to crunch time. And from a training standpoint and from a approach to our races and to our field events, it's about getting to the meet, being as fresh as possible, and executing our best performance, and that's really all you can do. So, in terms of nationals, we've been preparing. We love hosting it. We've been able to do that the last several years, and hopefully can continue doing so. But athletic director Dittman and I and our meet director Lyle Clausen, we've been working on putting together officials and getting everything lined up for that. So that's always fun, and hopefully we can keep doing that too.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of that as well and see how that goes. So last question is for you. It's your opinion. What is your favorite part of coaching?
Yeah, there's a lot, obviously, and loaded in that question. But, seeing athletes break through, whether it's taken them a few months of hard work to see that accomplishment of what they've been striving for, or whether it takes a few years, that is absolutely rewarding to see athletes be able to do that and get to where we know they can be and where they know they can be is definitely one of the best parts about coaching. And then kind of related to that, but seeing things really click for an athlete and for them to really find their passion for the sport and for them to kind of see, all right, if I put this work in, I can really get the most out of myself. And I was an athlete like that too, where I didn't work as hard as I should have in high school, and I came here and things at some point really clicked, and it's like, okay, like if I'm gonna do this, let's do it all the way, and let's make sure that I don't have any regrets in terms of my effort, because you're going to have regrets at certain races or things like that, but you don't want to look back and say, well, I just wish I would have worked harder. And it's really cool to see athletes come in who maybe are unsure about college track or just haven't been pushed enough to really help get the most out of themselves. And you see that click in their mind, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're all in, and now you're going to really see that progress. So those two things is just one of the great parts about coaching.
I'm sure, and you're a great coach, and I'm sure all the athletes love going for you. So thank you very much, Coach. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to answer these questions week after week with us. You can watch your Trojans compete this weekend at the Bison Open in Fargo or down in Vermilion at the Dakota Dome. Thank you very much for watching.